you want, as you walk around, you want to have internet access all over the place. You always want to be online. You want to have it at home, you want to have it at school, you want to have it in the car or on holiday. You also need that internet connection to be very fast and very reliable. You don't want it cutting out. You also just want it to work. You don't want to be messing around with connecting to networks the whole time. So when you go anywhere, you expect your device to be always on, which means always connected to the internet. You never want your device not to be connected. Something like a laptop is a bit slower to connect, because if we do want to use a laptop, well, we have to take the laptop out of the bag, open it up, plug it into the power, and it will take time to actually get ready to work. Whereas our phones will be always on. Your phone is always on, always connected. And this is where we see, say, a smartphone being different to your desktop. Like your desktop computer is probably not on all the time, and once it is, if you have to restart it or start it up, it does take time for you to get online. So you want to be always on, you want to be always online, and you want to constantly see notifications, and you want to constantly see emails, and if someone's trying to voice call you or something. So the way that it works is that if you have a cell phone signal and your device picks up that signal, your phone or your tablet or your laptop with a SIM card in it will be able to transmit data over that mobile connection. And then when you arrive home, or maybe you go to a hotspot that you've visited before, your phone or your laptop or your tablet will then switch automatically to using the hotspot, to use the Wi-Fi, so that you do not waste your mobile data. Now, you usually have to use Wi-Fi when you're using laptops or tablets, because most other devices like a smartphone will actually have a SIM card inside them, so they will be able to use both, whereas some devices are Wi-Fi only. So what you need to do when you say looking at a tablet is to actually get something that has both, so that you will be always on, you'll be always connected. You will not have to stop using your device when you're not using the Wi-Fi. Okay, so now we get to what you can actually do online. It will surprise you that it is not only going on YouTube and browsing Instagram that we use the internet. We use it for many other things as well. So the first one is real-time messaging. So real-time messaging is messages that you will receive as soon as they are sent. And these are WhatsApps and Snapchats, and what you would call a DM, a direct message, would be something that arrives in real time. You might not necessarily read it like a WhatsApp, but it is still delivered onto your device straight away. So you'd use real-time messaging, instant messaging. You basically send an SMS without the cost. These would be Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Snapchats, your Twitter DMs, or some kind of online space where you, like a chat room, where you'd actually exchange messages in real time. If the message is sent straight away, then we call it real-time messaging. Now the cool thing is, you can get hold of someone straight away. You can get in touch with multiple people at the same time. They don't have to be in the same place as you, and it doesn't matter if you've got an iPhone and they've got an Android device. If you're using the same software, then they'll get the message. It is also very cheap to use, whereas things like SMSs are very costly compared to using a WhatsApp. A lot of these services also let you see if someone is online or not, so you can tell if they will read your message straight away. And you can usually, in most of those, also switch to a video call. If you think of the example of WhatsApp, you can change it to a voice call or video call, in addition to the chat as well. Plus you might be able to play games as well. The disadvantage of these things are that you might not know who the person is. People can fake their details. You would probably become antisocial. You don't engage with other human beings because you're on your phone the whole time. You only speak to people in chat. You might also be, you guys all know this, we we see cyberbullying being a big challenge when we are using direct messages or instant messaging, along with identity theft, where people will pretend to be someone they're not. Then we get to something called VoIP. So VoIP is an internet protocol for transferring your voice over an internet line, internet connection. And the biggest example we used to use was Skype, but people used to use things like TeamSpeak. They would use Discord. You would be able to use, there's other ones too, even things like Google Hangouts or the Zoom. You can they transmit your voice over the internet. Now, when you do that and transmit your voice on the network, you could speak to one person or you could speak to multiple people. You can add people to the voice chat or conference call them. Conference calls when you add many people to it, and a lot of your even say WhatsApp, when you send a voice note, that's actually that's using the VoIP protocol to transmit your voice over the internet. The nice thing about using VoIP is that it's cheaper than phoning someone. As you all know, phoning people takes a lot of is costly because it goes through your mobile provider. Then it's also free to get, like Skype is free to get, WhatsApp is free, and you can also transmit other stuff. You can transmit images and documents too. You can even chat. The downside is both people need to have an internet connection, and you need to use the same software. So if you're having a Skype call, both of you need to have Skype. Some of them as well, like Skype, if you actually want to phone somebody on their mobile phone, you would need to buy credits and not use the internet. And if you have a bad connection, well, the call quality will be low, or the video call quality will be low as well. So it's heavily dependent on your connection. If it also uses a lot of data, especially if you are transmitting video as well. Then video conferencing, it would be the Zooms, the Microsoft Teams. These are ways in which you can share video to people, to multiple people at once across the world, as if they were in the same room. It shares voice, it shares video, and you would need to have a webcam, the microphone, and your computer as well, and the speakers. The good thing is you can see, as we are doing now, you can see someone's expressions when you're talking to them, and you will understand them better. You do not lose things in translation. It's also it's way cheaper than having long phone calls or flying overseas to have a meeting with someone in New York. The downside is, though, that if your connection is bad, well, the video conference will also be bad. You might drop the line, and you will also, again, use a lot of data for that. Now, you are sometimes asked this, well, what is a good practice to use? What is good protocol to follow? So firstly, you should be in a well-lit location so people can see you, and also you should protect your privacy. Make sure there are no passwords behind you or sensitive business-related plans or secret things behind you that you don't want people to see, or sensitive stuff you don't want people to see, or a mess. You don't want people to see you. You want them to see you well dressed and in a professional environment. You should also then test that everything's working before you make the call. Make sure your microphone works and your camera works as well. Okay. Now we get to cloud computing. So often we confuse cloud computing and cloud storage. Those are two different things. So these are cloud storage is when you would store things online, and cloud computing is when you'd actually use computing power online. Now, online storage that we are familiar with would be storing emails or storing something in Dropbox or storing something on Google Drive. But the cloud computing would be when you would use some service. You can use AWS, Amazon Web Services, which lets you actually use a server online to do something like image recognition or run some program for you online. Whereas the cloud storage is when you're just keeping files online. Cloud computing is when you're actually using some server to do something for you, to actually use computing power. Okay, Google storage, the Google Drive, you can store all your standard stuff as well. Okay, so the advantages of cloud computing, and in this case cloud storage as well, is that you don't have to update your software, because when you access the server or when you go on Google Drive, it's always up to date. You don't have to install anything because it runs in your internet browser. You can be overseas and still get your data. You can get it at home or at school, and the data is stored on the internet in the cloud, so it's not taking up space on your device. Plus, if you get an Amazon Web Services computer, it's likely that the computer will be far more powerful than your computer that you're currently using as well. And you can then it makes it much easier to share things with other people as well. Plus, you don't have to worry about losing your documents because they're all there online. Now, the problem with cloud computing is it works online, so you need to have very fast internet and it needs to be very reliable. But the problem is you are not in charge of backing up your data or the security, so others might be able to access it. If the company has a problem or a breach, someone hacks it, or the company goes bankrupt, there's no actual, it's not a done deal that you will have access to that data again. Sometimes it's also, you have to pay for it if you want more space. If you want to go over a certain limit, you might, like using something like Google Sheets or Google Documents might not have all the same features that a desktop program would have, and the programs might run slow